Mum always was the master of the throw it all in dinners. So she would make a chili con carne. There'll probably be 8 different veg in there, but it would always taste good. And her secret was a marigold bouillon. So we didn't go to restaurants. We couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
And that, for me, was just the beginning of this, like, obsession and love with restaurants.
Yummy.
So I want to take it back. You were born and raised in Bedford. I want to know what life was like growing up, but I want to know what you were eating, who was cooking, who was around the table, sort of paint the whole picture for us.
So I'm one of 5, big family of 7, and it's really funny. One thing we always did was sit around the dinner table. So a non-negotiable rule, we never had TV dinners, and we always had this like massive dining table that my dad got from like the antiques shop. So it was a little bit rusted and busted, but it was great. And Mum always was the master of the throw it all in dinners. So she would make a chili con carne. There'll probably be 8 different veg in there, but it would always taste good. And her secret was a marigold bouillon.
Really?
If in doubt,
love that.
If in doubt, stick the marigold bouillon in there. Basically,
yes.
like nature's MSG.
Yeah, love it.
Without the MSG in. And it was rustic. It was homely. It was big pots of curries. She did the best lasagna. Oh my God.
What's her trick?
4 types of cheese. And she used to do it in a tray that was about this big, probably weighed about 10 kg. She tried to like get it in and out. And we had an Aga as well. That was one thing. My dad got my mum an Aga for her 30th birthday, and I distinctively remember so many like of my days standing around the lovely heat of it as my mum was like bubbling something on the stove. And I'm painting it out to be quite like a romantic picture. This was whilst mum had like 2 twins strapped in a pram, screaming their heads off, like another kind of infant child on her hip, and I would often be there to help support her cook. Wow. So all of those lovely family style dishes, and I think it's one of the reasons why I'm so good at making recipes, because my mum never followed a cookbook. She never said on a Friday night, oh, I've got this recipe that I want to try. She would just make food, and she'd make food that unknowingly, like I know now as obviously as a nutritionist, but was super good for us. So high in vegetable diversity, fiber, and all the good stuff, and we did eat really, really well.
I mean, it's I'm actually picturing it now, and I have actually met your parents, who I'm obsessed with, by the way. I mean, your mum literally looks like she's a teenager. I just don't understand what's going on there, but it is amazing to kind of see that, you know, you're feeding a lot of people, and actually these meals were not just nutritious, but they were so tasty, and it was like the love that she was putting into that food. And I think what you said in terms of why you're good at sort of creating recipes, I think it's sort of like that's what you knew.
Yeah.
There was no other choice.
No.
Right?
And there are a lot of things that I genuinely think you can't learn in life. You have to experience.
Yeah.
And being a good cook is all about just experiencing it.
Totally.
Throw yourself in. There's no wrong or right actually with food, and I think a lot of cooking can feel very intimidating when you're trying to like follow a recipe so precisely, and you end up just getting stressed out. But the reality is you can often just chuck a load of stuff in a pot and it's probably going to turn out all right.
Totally. One other family member you haven't mentioned is your grandma. She owned a restaurant when you were younger. Tell me about those days, because I feel like the more I've spoken to you over the past year, this was a huge influence in your life, sort of being around that sort of restaurant kitchen environment.
Massively. And so my chef granny, her name is Janet, she had a restaurant called Cornfields, and it was in the middle of nowhere on the outskirts of Bedford, and it was this listed thatched cottage where if you were over 6 foot, it would be a nightmare because you'd bang your head on every single beam, or wonky donk, massive fireplace with like a bread oven tucked in the back. Her food was like pure joy, and it's the first time I ever fell in love with restaurants. Like, I think that my obsession definitely started with my granny, because when me and my brother were younger, my parents were like, oh, let's just have one more kid, had twins, and then had my little sister like a year later. So there was 3 kids under the age of 3, and I was about 8 or 10 years old. So we didn't go to restaurants. We couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
We never really had like nice things and nice treats. So whenever I went to Granny, so Granny would maybe pick up the phone and say, would Ollie and Em like to come for Friday dinner? We'd have steak frites. We'd have Stilton bacon fritters. We'd have sticky toffee pudding with a little kumquat and a dusting of icing sugar. And it was bliss. And that for me was just the beginning of this like obsession and love with restaurants. And I worked in her kitchen. It was my first ever job when I kind of hit teenage years. Definitely don't think I was legal age, but she was just chucking me £5 every Sunday. I used to clean the rooms and I used to prep all the starters. And that was the first time I used to kind of like see her in action. I admired her so much. And she is definitely one of the core reasons why I have ended up where I am today, 100%.
So it's interesting because you're talking about the food, you're talking about the dishes and these influences, but the conversation of nutrition, was that spoken about in the house?
Never.
Was there an understanding of what nutrition actually was?
Absolutely not. And it's so funny because obviously diet culture is such a strange thing, and it was very much a time of Slimming World and Weight Watchers. But because no female in my family, my auntie, granny, no one dieted, they all just ate really well. And also my mum used to carry like 6 Tesco's bags like back from the supermarket by herself, often like by herself or on the trolley of the pram and like pushing it. She was ripped.
She still is.
She's absolutely stacked, isn't she? But I think we have this very natural way of eating whole foods, mostly. Like my granny's always been a bit of a snob when it comes to ingredients, so she only kind of gets her meat from the butcher and like the fish. Obviously, she got it through the restaurant, eating seasonally, and we ate loads of veg because we didn't have a lot of money. So we ended up eating quite nutritiously without even being aware of the kind of diet culture that was kind of locked away in the back room. Like we weren't allowed sweets.
Hungry for more? Hit subscribe.